Let me start the presentation because it's already the time. And first, I want to welcome all of you to my presentation, and thank you very much for spending time for me today. Because I think some of you have to wake up at 3 a.m., especially those from Australia and New Zealand. I know some of you have to wake up and listen. I hope that I have something to offer, not to like waste your time. And also expect that most of you who joined the section today have a basic understanding and time to read about methodology, because some of the term is not easy to understand for the people who just like first step in, but I will try to make myself understandable. And in case you got any question, any problems in understanding, or just want to interfere me with anything, just raise your hands or give Sonia some kind of signal, and Sonia just please let them go, like interrupt me at any time. Okay, so my presentation today is pragmatism, how to connect constructivism and positivism in doing research. So 3 big words there. I hope you get to know and understand what does it mean. Okay, and in my presentation today, discussed the choice of methodology I had when conducting research on university enterprise collaboration to enhance graduate employability in the Vietnamese context. And actually, it's part of my postdoc project in Germany. I just finished it and came back to Vietnam, I think a month ago. Now, I call myself a constructivist. What does it mean? It means I am I have got a strong belief in the merit of focusing on specific contexts in which people live and work in order to understand and uncover beliefs, value, and motivations that underlie each individual behavior. So what does that means? That for constructivist people or constructivists, we normally don't use questionnaire or surveys to gather the point of view of a lot of people, but we want to stay in the local context, interact with people in the local in the area, and try to understand the problem like deeper rather than broader. So most of the time, constructivists use such methods like interview, observation, reading, try to look at the field work, try to understand the context, something like that. But then today I just want to discuss how pragmatic approach, that is mixed methods, not only about qualitative anymore, was employed in my study to enhance its transferability. Now, I want to pull up a little bit about my research background, the postdoc research background and aims. It's about higher education in Vietnam and the issues of employment after graduation. It's a bit different from Western country when in Vietnam, Vietnamese higher education system has been fundamentally designed to meet the needs of the labor market. But then Vietnamese universities do not seem to implement this mission successfully, when the number of graduates ending up unemployed and underemployed has increased alarmingly. So the aim of my project is to investigate how graduate employability can be better enhanced in the Vietnamese context, and to explore the possibilities of connecting workplace training and university curricula to better address the economy. So I don't look at the broad picture of job after graduation, but I just want to look at one of the ways to enhance that, work like employment prospects of students, that is how university and employer collaborate to bring the labor market into the university and enhance the students' knowledge and skills of workplace. Now, with that project, I have 3 research questions. The first one is how is the current situation of UEC in Vietnam? The second one is what are the obstacles for UEC in Vietnam? And the third one is how to make the collaboration sustainable and effective. Now, with these 3 research questions, it doesn't seem to be easy for me to stick with my favorable research paradigm of constructivism. Why? That is with the first question. When I just want to pull up a broader picture of UEC in Vietnam, it doesn't seem that I stay in one area and try to understand and capture the things in that specific context to understand the bigger picture of the whole country. And I know Vietnam is small, but it's not that small for me to interview people from different areas and cover everything in that broader areas with different demography and things like that. And I understand that although constructivist paradigm will still help me to focus on the specific context in which people live and work, and to help me understand the historical and cultural setting of the participant, it's hard to help me to be able to pull up an overall picture of UEC in Vietnam. So that doesn't mean that I deny constructivism now. I still strongly believe that realities are local, are out there, okay? The realities are specific and constructist. So it's very constructivism, okay? They are socially and experientially based and depend on the individuals or groups holding them. But then I also understand that there are multiple realities out there. And with this study, I just want to approach as many of those realities as possible in order to best develop a current picture of UEC in Vietnam. So I'm hungry to know the more information, the better. So it was at that moment I stopped and start thinking about a mixed method research. This is the first time I was doing mixed methods research. Now I want to discuss a little bit about the changing of my research worldview. I was born in a weak country, and I think some of you was born in the same country as I am. If you read Hofstede cultural theory or something like that, you know weak countries like Vietnam, China, Korea, or even Japan, where we got a great influence of, or we are called Confucian heritage culture. So our own opinion is not really as important as the people of everyone out there. So normally that's why we say we countries it's about a large number, not only us. And in that country, and before I went to conduct my doctoral study, with every research project I did, we often develop a kind of surveys or questionnaires and then send it to as many participants as possible. And that was a very positivist way of doing. And I changed that worldview during my doctoral project. It's about enhancing graduate employability in Vietnam. I changed it from positivist into constructivist. It's a very long story. I was a very stubborn lady. At the beginning, when I started to conduct this study, my two supervisors was they was both constructivists, and they tried to ask me to just doing interview and observation and things like that. But I still want to desire like questionnaires and send it to employers, students, and even lecturers to ask like what kind of skills that students in Vietnam are weak, and then how to enhance those skills or something like that. But then the more I read the literature, the more I change my mind. And the shift had occurred when I came to understanding that with the specific issue of graduate employability, when the basic understanding of the subject matter is not there or has not been well established, the positivist lens does not seem to be appropriate in guiding that particular study. I conducted that study about, I think, 10 years ago, nearly 10 years ago. So that issue is quite new. It's very hard issue in the literature, international literature, but in Vietnam, really is freshly new, and the basic understanding of that subject matter is not there. Even we still misunderstanding what skills mean. So people thought skill is like these, some people confuse it with hard skill, hard knowledge or something like that. So when it's not really clearly what does it mean, what does specific skill mean or refer to, at that point, pulling up a questionnaire, it doesn't seem to be able to get the right results because people have been confused. Now that is story about my doctoral study, and I did conduct that research with purely qualitative research, with interviews, group interview, and observation. But then with the this project that I'm present today, with the UEC, I conducted in 2016, so only about less than 2 years ago. I already got quite a good understanding about the subject matter, and in Vietnam now, it's a lot of people start focus on that area, start writing about it, and we do have a basic understanding about, or general understanding about UEC in Vietnam. So I strongly believe that with that kind of understanding and literature, I could develop a set of questionnaire to investigate general perception from the community. And then the breadth information gathered from the questionnaires would help me better generate themes for the in-depth interview that follow the questionnaires. So what does it mean? It means that I'm still constructivist, because the way that the aim of me when I designed the questionnaire still like to better generate themes for in-depth interviews. I won't talk about the focus of my study later, whether I won't focus on phase 1 questionnaires or phase 2 interviews. Okay, and the whole process would help me identify factors related to UEC obstacles in Vietnam, and also help me to come up with the most feasible suggestions to improve the situation. Now, this approach is, of course, more time-consuming because it's basically 2 approaches. It's about quantitative and qualitative. It's more complex, but then I could just expect that it would have to develop a deeper and more complex understanding of the subject matter. Now, so I come to pragmatic paradigm. At that point, when I start thinking that, oh, maybe I can develop a questionnaire and together the broader point of view, I stopped and start reading more about research methodology. And then I found out that a lot of people just focus on discussions about the difference between quantitative research methods and qualitative research methods. But my aim here is not about is not to go into the discussion of the difference between these 2 domain approaches of educational research. And having experience of both qualitative and quantitative research, I now believe in the possibility of using multiple paradigms in research and understand the warning of Creswell that sometimes these paradigms may be intention, but such intention is good. And that way of thinking led my way to pragmatic paradigm. Okay, so what's pragmatism means? Pragmatism, or the approach placing its emphasis on shared meaning and joint actions. That's Morgan's. He's quite a famous author in who writes about pragmatism. With pragmatist theories can be both contextual and generalizable by analyzing them for transferability to another situation. Morgan even developed new terms for pragmatism. Instead of induction, deduction, quality and quantity, he developed abduction. And then instead of subjectivity or objectivity, he placed intersubjectivity in pragmatism, and instead of separate context and generality, he just wanted to focus on transferability. So pragmatic approach is to rely on a version of abductive reasoning that moves back and forth between induction and deduction to connect theory and data. Pragmatism also allows the potential and possibility to work back and forth between quality and quantity data, which often viewed as incompatible. I think it offers researchers the opportunity to search for useful points of connection between the two types of data. The abductive process is often employed by researchers who combine quality and quantity methods in a sequential fashion, where the inductive goals of a qualitative approach are based on the deductive result from a quantitative approach, and vice versa. So pragmatists argue that there's impossibility of complete objectivity or complete subjectivity in conducting research. When I read this, I was thinking that was right. When we did quantitative research, we tried to claim that it's objective. It doesn't include ourselves there, but we are part of the project, and we bring our own knowledge, understanding, belief, everything there, and it can't be apart from the author or the writer or the one who conduct the research. So we can't be completely objectivity in doing quantitative research. And qualitative research is the same thing. We bring our own belief and thinking and things like that in interview, but then we still have to listen to our interviewees and try to find the insight offered by them. So we can't just close our eyes that on everything that they offer and think that our thinking is correct, and that is subjectivity to totally subjectivity. So I totally agree with pragmatism in this point of view. And I found it interesting when pragmatists also reject the idea that researchers have to choose the position between a pair of extremes, either constructivism or positivism. And I think that's more flexible, and it's better. And they placed the central focus on the ideas of enhancing transferability based both on the strength of the relation between cause and effect in quantity data and on the trustworthiness and reliability of the quality data. And how about pragmatism in this study? My study is an explanatory sequential design with quantitative surveys preceded qualitative interview. Sorry to talk about a lot about methodology, and sometimes even when I read it, I feel headache because everything is just so mixed up and so confused with so many new words. But I hope you are still surviving and not falling asleep when listening to me. Okay, back to this study. Okay. In a sequential explanatory design, the priority of the weight and attention throughout the study, the data collection and analysis, can be given to either quantitative or qualitative approach, or can be both equal, okay? And this depends on the researcher's interest, the study's audience, and the researchers aim to focus, what researchers aim to focus on in their study. And in my study, my priority is still was given to the qualitative data collection and analysis, although it was the second phase of the research process. And as I presented at the beginning, I am still a constructivist, even I employ pragmatic approach. Now, I just want to pull up one example of how I can go back and forth between qualitative and quantitative data, and how the two process helped me to pull up better, or at least understand the subject matter much better than purely than a study with purely qualitative or quantitative study. That is the answer with the question: who is the one who takes initiative in setting up UEC in Vietnam? Okay, so basically, I just designed two separate questionnaires with the same question. I want to know who is the one who first stepped out and want to shake hand with want to meet up with the other party, like employer or university, or enterprise or university. Who is the one who really the first one who stepped into the other zone and want to negotiate the collaboration. That is important, especially at the beginning of stage when UEC in Vietnam is still very weak. So the one who take the first initiative means that they are more willing. And at that point, we can know that how to develop that in that collaboration in which way. But then the answers was very interesting, and it's different from two different stakeholders. You see, the answer from universities from university side, it turned out to be university was the one who most often take the first step to set up the collaboration. But the answer from the other side was different. That was them from enterprise, and then I was when I got the outcome from quantitative data, I was feeling puzzled. What does it mean when it's so opposite? The answer was so opposite. But then I read the literature, those who already wrote about this in Vietnam, but they conducted only quantitative and only one side. Like some study, they just sending questionnaire to employers. And interestingly, like the answer is the same. Like employer always said that they wanted to shake hand with university, but university don't want to collaborate with them. And some other from university side always complain that they want to seek the collaboration from enterprises and employers, but employers just want to ignore them. They don't want to collaborate. So separately, it got agreement from the literature, but when we put them together, it seems to be hard to understand. So at that point, I designed about 5 questions for the following up interview, and it reveals so much more and so interesting things, rather than just the number, that who is the one who first step out and want to set up the collaboration. And I just want to explore why there was disagreement between the point of view of both of these two stakeholders. And then after the qualitative interview, coding, merging themes, blah, blah, I got the results, and it explains the contrast finding from the quantitative data. And it's explained the first reason is university often care about the collaboration to help them send students to study for internship, which is traditional and compulsory part of the curriculum in Vietnam. But then so the story about collaboration with university among participants from enterprise was story about recruitment. And both universities and enterprise only thought about the collaboration, when they needed the collaboration for their own purposes, and their times often did not match. So university, when they want, before the internship seasons, just want to step out, but that season may not match with the recruiting season of employers. So that's why it doesn't match. The second reason is that employers often come to negotiate the collaboration with the top universities like Hanoi University of Science and Technology or Foreign Trade University, who are often overwhelmed with too many invitations for UEC. But in the meantime, many lower-ranked and more professional-oriented universities was struggling to attract enterprises to either come to the university for recruitment-related activities or to accept their students for internship. So basically, when I interview, I can see more insight to explain for the quantitative data. But then if I didn't have the quantitative data, I also couldn't explore the reason. I couldn't explore why or how the collaboration going that way. So basically, I can work back and forth between the data and find interesting point of connection. So I want to come to conclusion, because I think it's talking too much is also not very good. So the connecting, comparing, and contrasting of the inference that emerged from both quality and quantitative findings in this study helped to develop and extend the understanding of UEC in Vietnam in a rich way than a study using only a single approach, either just qualitative or quantitative. It also allowed me to address the local context, historical and cultural features, which directly or indirectly affected the quantity and quality of the collaboration between the education and the local industry. And it helped provide a more complex understanding of the problem that would otherwise not have been accessible by using only a single approach. And it brings quantity and quality approaches together to build on the strengths and also weaknesses. The qualitative study, which was designed based on the finding of the quantitative data, would help to provide rich explanations of not only the contradictory perspective of the stakeholders that I just pull up an example for you, but it also, the other themes emerging from the quantitative findings. I think that's all for me for my presentation. Thank you for your listening.
Thanks, June. Thank you for your wonderful presentation. So if our participants want to send us some questions, you can use the chat, or you can enable your microphone and do some questions or comments to our presenter. So now it's the time if you have some questions. June, can you see the chat? Because there are some questions already.
I can't see the chat. Where's the chat? I got comments and notes. But
no problem. I can read you. There is a question from a participant.
Oh, I should stop sharing. I can see other things, right?
Yeah, but if you want, I can read the questions. No problem. Okay. If you need to show something on your presentation, there is a question. A question from a participant in Thailand. Hello, Thailand. When did you decide to follow up the quant part with the qual part, and how did you reach the decision?
He or she wants me to explain how.
Yeah. How did you decide to follow the quantitative part with the qualitative part, and how did you reach that decision?
I think I explained it when I present this one. The whole thing started when I look at the problems. After I pull up the research question, I got another article discussing what is important in research, and that is research question. So basically, I need to focus on my research question, and at that point, because I'm a constructivist, I really want to explore things that local, that got voice. The voice from the interviewees, the people that live there, rather than we impose our own opinion from the literature and ask them to give us the take, just the take. So, but then that is just qualitative interview. But then with this specific study, and I got 3 questions, especially question number 1. which I can show you again. Yeah, especially with question number 1, I think it's more appropriate with the survey when I can reach more participants and have, and also at that point, I need to have in-depth understanding, but I just want to have broad understanding of how the situation works and how things are out there. So at that point, quantitative is more appropriate, and with the second and the third question is more appropriate quali. So that's why at that point I was thinking of mixed methods, and when I was thinking of mixed method, I have to pause there first, because I don't start from methods, I want to start from methodology. So methodology will lead the way, how to do it. And also, you know, when we do a big project, we have to explain why we come to the decision, how whether we use qualitative or quantitative methods. At that point, I start reading pragmatism, and I found they are reasonable, and I can use that theory in my study, and I decided to employ pragmatism or pragmatics approach. Yeah, with quali and quanti. I hope I answered the question.
Okay, thank you. Our participant Atipong says, thank you, appreciate the answer. I don't know if someone else wants to share their thoughts. Now is the time. If you can use your microphone if you wish. Sometimes it's easier just to ask a question through the microphone.
Yep.
In the meantime, let me just remind all the participants that we will be sending the link to the video. The video will of this session will be available, and we will send also some additional information which may be useful. If you have any suggestions regarding other themes for webinars, please share them with us. We are very happy to address all the suggestions, all the requests you may have.
Yep.
And I don't know if there are any questions. No, for the time being. I don't know if someone is trying to ask a question through the microphone. I can hear some noise, but no, I don't think so. No.
If you've got any questions, you can write me an email, because I know discussing about methodology is not easy, and sometimes it's a bit boring, especially when you listen more than 10 minutes, you start to fall asleep, maybe.
We have a question, in fact. Huang is asking, is pragmatic approach mixed methods?
Mm-hmm.
That's the question. He is asking, he or she, I don't know, I'm sorry. Is pragmatic approach mixed methods?
That's two different layers. Pragmatics is about methodology, and mixed methods is methods. So methodology is the way, if we do research, you know that different layers. It's about theory, and theory is a broader terms. And when it mixed methods, it's about how to do it, what steps you do it. But normally, what step you do reflect how you look at the way, what you believe that, how to go with this project, how to undertake this project is the best way. So that's different layer. But to say like briefly, yeah, pragmatism is in favor of both qualitative and quantitative methods, and it's about mixed methods. When we talk about pragmatism, we talk about mingle quantitative and qualitative together. Yep.
Okay, perfect. Thank you very much for your question. If anyone has any further questions, please send them to us. There is another question from Atipong. Do you have a suggested?
I think if anyone have questions, they can ask. I don't know why they just type, and I couldn't.
They are typing. Yeah, sometimes it's easier to type them over the chat, but I will read them for you. Do you have a suggested article for those who are getting into pragmatic approach?
Oh, I got quite a many in my references. If any of you want to read the literature in relating field, you can send me an email and I will send it to you, like a list of
Okay,
articles, or I
sure.
can send it to you the articles as well, because I do have some in my folders.
Okay.
I sent you the article.
We will also share the link to your article, the article you
Yeah,
sent us, which is on our blog. We can
yeah,
send the link to that article as well. And there is
yeah.
another question
Mm-hmm.
from Try Hai Nok. I am sorry if I am mispronouncing the names, but I am I am trying to say them correctly.
Yeah.
The question is. I think the data would be huge for you. How did you deal with both quantitative and qualitative data at the same time?
No, it's not at the same time. For sure, it's not at the same time. With sequential design research, you have to start with one approach at one time. It is more time consuming because you have to go with two approaches, but not at the same time. So first, I design the questionnaire based on the literature, based on the understanding, based on what I want to explore. So I send it to participants. I collect the data. I analyze it for the themes to see whether the data, the findings, agree with the literature, against the literature, or have something new with the literature. So something new that it doesn't happen there. So with something that is already agreed, normally I ignore it. So with something that like the question that I pull up, like an example, at that point I need to explore further. Okay. So, and also like with specific things like obstacles and things like that. So I just develop basic um, understanding for the questionnaire, but then I will base on the findings to develop interview questions. So it's the second step. It's not at the same time. So at that point, it means, what does it mean? It means that I don't go too deep into analyze quantitative data. Okay, because my focus is more on qualitative data. It depends on you. If you want to focus on quantitative and just want to explore some further point of view, you can analyze in more detail. But for me, I don't go deep into quantitative data. I just try to find what's interesting, what's contrasting, what is not really normal, and then I design a question for the interview. And at that point, I explore new things, or I explore more insight, and I analyze that one. And at that point, I can look back at the quantitative data and start, and maybe for some parts, some sort of data, I have to go further, deeper. But I didn't go like both type to data too deep, just go so it's about how tricky it is, how you go about analyzing your data, how you manage it in the way that you want it to. It's not about going deep into analyzing it and you don't know what you look for. So basically I know what I'm looking for, and I decide that in that way, selectively. So not really uh, focus more on analyzing. Yeah, I hope you guess what my point is. Sometimes I'm a bit clumsy in explaining, but I hope you understand.
Yeah, I think it was clear, but if okay, okay. Tran says I got it to some extent. Many thanks. I will contact for more
Thanks.
details. I will contact for more details sharing related to your mixed
Yeah,
methods
sure,
and your
yeah,
research interests. Okay,
yeah,
and another participant says very clear. So I don't know if we have maybe time for one more question, if there is any. But in the meantime, June, thank you very much for your contribution, for your availability
thank
to
you. My
host
pleasure. Yeah,
host this session.
yeah,
Thanks again to all the attendants who joined us from all around the world. We have people from Vietnam to the United States, Portugal, of course.
yeah,
Thanks, June, for your sharing. Some people are thanking you over the chat as well.
yeah.
So stay tuned for our upcoming events. We will be having other webinar sessions. Also, we will be sharing the contact on our blog and social media. If you have any questions, feel free to contact us over the email or our website. June, I will talk to you soon. I hope we will see you soon. And thank you very much for this wonderful session.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you for as well. Thanks.
You are welcome.
Just send me an email.
Okay. Thank you very much. Thanks again, everyone who joined us, and we will see you soon. Bye-bye. Thank you.
Thanks, Sonia.
Thank you very much.
Bring great help. Thanks.
Thank you.
Thanks.
Bye-bye.
Thanks.